the feet, and operate together as one body. I understand the sentiment, I really do. I really, really do. I don't expect to convince everybody or anybody with what it is that I'm saying right now, but I just feel compelled from my heart to be able to say the only way forward is with love. So I feel I start to stop right here, but there's just a couple of points I want to bring up that I heard over time, and I'll bounce around a little bit because there was a lot of people and there was a lot of different points. But one of the first things I want to say is the original function of this building is really, really interesting, right? Remember what it was? It was a church, right? God's house. So here's the part that resounds over and over inside my head. When I grew up, there was a wonderful place that we would go to when we came together, and it was called the sanctuary. What is the function of sanctuary? Sanctuary is a place where you go when there's no place else for you to be, and you go to feel safe, to be protected, to know that there is nothing that is going to harm you within those walls because it is protected. Not necessarily by the walls themselves, but it was a sanctuary, it was God's house because God had a covering on it and he was there to protect it and those who dwelled within it. So I would say for those who are lost, for those who are in a position to where they are cast out and they have no place else to go, what better place to put them than in the sanctuary? There was another aspect that really rang true to me, and there was a statement that was made that it's not our responsibility to save souls. I agree with you. I can't save a soul, but my responsibility is to be the conduit. My responsibility is to be the hands and feet in order to be able to take what it is that God gives me in order to be able to place into those individuals. And what I know is that if I put them an arm reach away, I can't be the full function of what it is that God would have me to do in those situations. And I don't want to turn this into a sermon, but what I will say is this: I will not be anything other than who I am as I sit up here. And if that means I have to lose the seat, then I'll lose it. I would hope after this, y'all will still look at me in love and say, hey, look, because I love each and every one of you. I really, really do. We may not agree on this particular subject and the way that this ends, but I want you to know I love each and every one of you. I love every one of those women who are going to come to that situation, and I promise you I will do whatever I can in order to be able to help. Whether it's 4, whether it's 8, whether it's 12, it doesn't matter. I'm finished.
Anyone else?
Yes.
Tammy?
Okay. I took some notes while we were talking, and so I wanted some of the things I want to point out are similar to some of the things that Jonathan said. I wanted a couple of housekeeping things first that I want to get very clear. There were some concerns brought up that about the notice and the policies and procedures and the legalities, and we've been assured that all of those things were followed properly. They were all done legally. It was published in the Garfield County Legal News. They have copies of everything. If you want it, you have to go through the legal department to get it. That's outside of what we are able to give you. But I assure you that we would not be sitting here tonight having a 3-hour discussion if this wasn't done properly. So I would really like to lay those worries aside because that's really not at issue here. One of the things that was brought up was that it was going to be close to a park and a daycare center. And while I do understand everybody's concern about maybe some of the past of these people, it was also pointed out that these women are not violent offenders and they are not sex offenders. So it really doesn't matter if it's next door to a park or a school, because those kind of people aren't the people you need to be worrying about having around your kids. I mean, you're probably going to have people that are scarier around your kids at downtown at a parade than you're going to have in this house, first of all. And I don't want anyone to think that I don't understand your concern, because I do. And I'll tell you why. And I would be a hypocrite if I sat up here and did not disclose this. And Jeremiah does not know this about me. My daughter works at 580. She works for the Harrians. She just turned 18. She's a very pretty girl, and she's very personable. And I would be lying to you if I said I never was scared about the people that went in there sometimes. Because they do. They go in there on a daily basis, and sometimes they have to call the police. And it is kind of scary. And you know what? I worry as a mom that my kid is in there. But you know what else? I believe in what they're doing so strongly that I set that aside because I know that they will take care of her, and I know that she's safe, and I just believe so much in what they're doing. So please don't sit there and say not in my backyard, because my daughter literally works in their backyard every single day. Secondly, it doesn't matter. Secondly, it is in their backyard because they live above the business that they run, and those people are in their business every single day. And like Jonathan, I have a girl that I did not know 2 months ago living in my home because she didn't have a place to go. She had nowhere to go. So don't sit here and tell me not in your backyard, because I absolutely would in my backyard. I do in my daughter's bedroom. And you know what? And I would do it again any chance I got in any space I had. It is permanent. She lives in my home. So there's a lot of assumptions being made about people that sit up here that you don't really know the whole story. And so please don't do that. One of the things I wanted to ask to just also make clear is that the zoning only applies to this piece of property, yes?
That's correct.
Because there's been a lot of conversation about how it rezones everybody's stuff. No, it doesn't. It only rezones this one spot. So that needs to be made very clear. Secondly, the comprehensive plan was brought up, and the comprehensive plan doesn't really come into play here because the comprehensive plan doesn't dictate every single business that's going to come into town. It talks about doing things to better neighborhoods and better the quality of life in our community, and I have every belief that this exactly will do those things because I've seen them do it, and you have seen them do it, whether you like it or you don't. You've seen that it has bettered the neighborhood that the Oasis program is in. There's no way to deny it. You've seen pictures. We've seen pictures of the buildings. So there's no way to deny that it wouldn't better the neighborhood. So that's a moot point. Secondly, or however, thirdly, fourthly, whatever we're on now. So what I would like to also say is we have a lot of people in this town, many in this room that I have recognized the faces and names of. We have Jeremiah, Miss Austin, Mr. Flynn, Miss Finley, Miss Smart, Miss Eves, Reverend Burleson, lots of people in this room that do a lot of good things for this town and that try all the time to do good things for the community and the people in it. And I've sat on this council for almost 8 years, and I have watched this town fight one good thing after another. It's constant. And I don't understand it. I don't understand how people that can say they want to love each other and help each other and turn around and fight every single good thing that comes up. One of the things that came up was rubber stamping, the terms rubber stamping. If we rubber stamped this, we wouldn't be here because we've had this discussion before lots of times. And every single time it comes up, we go through this process. If it were rubber stamped, we would already just said okay and gone on with it. And for saying that there was not an opportunity to address this before when the other shelter came up, yeah, we did this before. We had every opportunity. Just
I didn't get notified. I was.
okay. Everybody in town had the opportunity to be
Tammy
here
has the floor.
because
Let her- Wait a
it
minute.
was a public hearing, just like this.
Wait a minute, Tammy. Tammy has the floor. Let her speak.
We've been asked tonight to dismiss the emotional part of this because nobody wants to talk about the emotions because then it becomes real. And I'm going to tell you, no, I'm not going to dismiss the emotional part of this because this is something that Jonathan touched on. We see every single day the direction that society is going because emotion has been dismissed. We see people out to get theirs. There's a what's in it for me attitude. It's all about what is this going to do for me? We are seeing selfishness and meanness pervade our society like a plague. And you can, any given day, you can go online and find a video of somebody filming another human being that is struggling just so they can post it online so that person can be shamed and made fun of when they could have just as easily put down their damn phone and reached out a helping hand to them, and they refuse to. And you know what? Time after time, Jeremiah has reached out his hand to help this town, and I will not stand in the way of someone that wants to help another human being when so many other people refuse to. So that's all I have to
Derwin.
say. And real queens straighten each other's crowns, by the way.
Derwin, you're last.
We needed this. We needed this to happen. I believe that God allowed this to happen. I pray and hope that Enid, Oklahoma becomes a model city and a leading city in this country. We all have choices. We have choices to be made in life. Through conviction, I'm going to quote a scripture. And I want you all to think about this. But before I quote it, by time and chance, it could happen to any one of us at any time. By time and chance, any one of us can be in poverty overnight. We can all lose our credit. There are people in this country with master's and doctor's degrees without a job. You can have it today and lose it tonight. God has blessed me because I asked him to. I said, Lord, bless me so that I can be a blessing. I didn't say, Lord, bless me so that I could bless Derwin. But I said, Lord, bless me so that I can be a blessing to other people. I was a young man in LD classes. They said I'd never graduate from high school. But God has blessed me with 2 degrees. Now, if we're not willing to lay it down, stop lying and hypocrite and talking about how much of a Christian you really are. If you're really a Christian, if you're really a saint of God, sometimes you got to be willing to lay down your life for your friends. And if you don't like me, Jesus said this, love your enemies. And if you love them, I'll make them your footstool. Now, we say we believe in Jesus. We say we believe in the Bible. We say that we're Christians. If we're really that, let's stop lying and start living the truth.
Preaching now.
For ye shall know the truth, and the truth will make you free.
Come on.
And the little land that we own, it's not promised that we'll have it tomorrow. But if we do the right thing, God will sustain us. And God will make a way out of no way. Any one of us could have been in prison. Any one of us could have been down and out. But thank God.
Thank you, God.
Thank God that he made a way to where we could be where we are today. But remember, if you say that you love God, whom you've never seen, and you hate your brother who you see every day, the Bible says you are a liar. Now tonight is for us to make up our mind. Do we really love God or do we really love self? We got to get self out of the way. If we really love God, let's band together in Enid, Oklahoma. And let's help one another in Enid, Oklahoma. Let's stop talking about it and start doing something about it. This man is doing an outstanding job. And let's tell the truth. Some people are jealous of him because it's not them. But let me tell you something about being on the top. When you're up there, it's a lonely place. And when you're up there, you got overhead. You got responsibility that most people are not willing to have. People say, oh, Derwin, you got all these trucks, you got all these Bobcats, you got all this stuff. But they wasn't out there with me with headlights on, 18 degrees in the cold, 3 o'clock in the morning. What they said was, man, he's crazy. But you know what? They coveted the benefits. benefits.
Come on, brother.
Stop coveting and start loving. I didn't come here to preach, but I've been convicted tonight. We got a long ways to go and a short time to get there.
Yes, sir.
I think Burt Reynolds died today.
Timeless.
Do we have a motion?
I motion to approve.
I second.
Motion by Jonathan, second by Derwin.
Yes, sir.
The discussion? Please cast your vote. Motion carries 4-2. Item 7, administration. Consider and take action with respect to a resolution of the City of Enid, Oklahoma, the city, approving action taken by the Enid Municipal Authority, the authority, authorizing issuance, sale, and delivery of the authority's Series 2018A Drinking Water SRF promissory note to the Oklahoma Water Resources Board. Ratifying and confirming a lease agreement, ratifying and confirming sales tax agreements pertaining to a year-to-year pledge of certain sales tax revenue, declaring an emergency, and containing other provisions related thereto.
Motion to approve.
Motion by Ron,
Second.
second by George. Further discussion?
You don't want to follow that?
Please cast your vote. Motion carries 6-0.
There's an emergency.
We have an emergency requirement on this.
Motion to
Motion for the
approve.
emergency.
Motion by Jonathan, second by Ron. Further discussion? Please cast your vote. Motion carries 6-0. Item 7-2, an ordinance amending the Enid Municipal Code 2014, Title 4, Health and Sanitation, Chapter 3, Litter, Handbills, Section 4-3-2, owner to maintain premises free of litter, Chapter 4, nuisances, Section 4-4-2, unlawful to maintain nuisance, Chapter 5, weeds and noxious matter, Chapter 6, inoperable vehicles, Chapter 4-6-8, failure to remove, Title 7, public ways and property, Chapter 7, trees, Section 7-7-2, removal of dead or diseased trees, trimming trees, Title 8, utilities, Section 8-4-7, storing trash, Title 9, building regulations, Chapter 9, property maintenance code, Section 9-9-2, amendments to property maintenance code to provide subsequent offense penalty of a fine up to $500, providing for repealer, savings clause, severability, and codification.
What this ordinance does is it basically changes the fine structure from a 3-tiered structure to a 2-tiered structure. With subsequent offenses after a conviction of one of these offenses within 5 years, the second subsequent offense would generate a $500 penalty or fine. It was discussed in study session.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Motion by Ron, second by Jonathan. Further discussion? Please cast your vote. Motion carries 6-0. Item 7.3, an ordinance amending the Enid Municipal Code 2014, Title 5, Public Safety, Chapter 5, General Offenses, Section 5-5C-2, to remove trespass with weapon, providing for repealer, savings clause, severability, and codification.
Motion to approve.
Motion by Jonathan.
Second.
Second by George. Further discussion. Please cast your vote. Motion carries 6-0. Item 8, consent items.
Motion to approve all Section 8.
Motion by Jonathan to approve.
Second.
Second by George. Please cast your vote. Motion carries 6-0. Item 9, we'll now recess to convene as the Enid Municipal Authority. Item 10, all of the trustees of the Enid Municipal Authority regular meeting are in attendance except for Ben. Ben is absent. Item 11, the Enid Municipal Authority regular meeting is now in session. Item 11.1, consider a resolution authorizing the chairman of the Board of Trustees of the Enid Municipal Authority to make an application for an able license for Meadow Lake Golf Course to allow the sale of wine and beer.
What this does is exactly that. It applies for a license for the golf course so that we'll be able to be compliant with the laws that take effect October 1st. So that's what this does.
Motion to approve.
Motion by Jonathan, second by Ron. Further discussion, please cast your vote. Motion carries 6-0. Item 11.2, consider and take action with respect to a resolution of the Enid Municipal Authority, the borrower, approving and authorizing a drinking water state revolving fund, SRF, loan from the Oklahoma Water Resources Board in the total aggregate principal amount of $20 million. Approving the issuance of its drinking water SRF promissory note in the total aggregate principal amount of $20 million, secured by a pledge of revenues and authorizing its execution. Approving and authorizing the execution of a loan agreement for drinking water, SRF loan, designating a local trustee, and approving and authorizing the execution of a trust agreement. Approving and authorizing the execution of a security agreement, ratifying and confirming a lease agreement, ratifying and confirming sales tax agreement pertaining to a year-to-year pledge of certain sales tax revenue of the City of Enid, Oklahoma, the city, approving various covenants, approving and authorizing execution of professional services agreements and payment of fees and expenses, and containing other provisions relating thereto.
Motion to approve.
Motion by Ron,
Second.
second by George. Further discussion. Please cast your vote. Motion carries 6-0. Item 11.3, approval of claims in the amount of $479,433.98.
Motion to approve.
Motion by Jonathan,
Second.
second by George. Please cast your vote. Motion carries 6-0. Item 12, we will now adjourn to convene as the Enid Economic Development Authority. All of the trustees of the Enid Economic Development Authority regular meeting are in attendance except for Ben. Ben is absent. Item 14, the Enid Economic Development Authority regular meeting is now in session. Item 14.1, approval of claims in the amount of $4,000.
Move to approve.
Second.
Motion by George, second by Jonathan. Please cast your vote. Motion carries 6-0. Item 15, we will now adjourn to convene as the Enid Public Transportation Authority. Item 16, trustees of the Enid Public Transportation Authority regular meeting are in attendance except for Ben. Ben is absent. Item 17, the Enid Public Transportation Authority regular meeting is now in session. Item 17.1, approval of claims in the amount of $9,390.29.
So moved.
Motion by
Second.
Jonathan, second by Derwin. Please cast your vote. Motion carries 6-0. Item 18, we will We'll now adjourn to reconvene as the Enid City Commission. Item 19, public comments. Diane, you are signed up. Need your name and address, please.
Diane Levesque, 1324 West Oak Avenue, also known as Monarch Larvae Monitoring Project Site 2519. And it's really hard to bring up monarchs after all the pontificating and such a moving sermon
Go right ahead.
as took place today. If I go over 5 minutes, please pardon me.
Don't go over 5 minutes, please.
Well, I offered on my point of order. Anyway, I also live in a neighborhood where Holdings owns half of the block I live on. And the residents there at the time it came for a zoning change, they wanted to build a warehouse there, and the residents decided against it. So what you're looking at is quite what the status quo that was sought by some of the people who came to speak today. And what we have is something that Mayor Kreiner, going all the way back there, tried to clean up, and that is a slumlord that would buy up properties because they were real cheap in a quote-unquote bad neighborhood, which didn't used to be bad. There were just old folks there, and they kind of died. It used to be a lovely neighborhood, but now we have a slumlord buying up all kinds of properties, renting to people they don't care about, and now they're renting to a guy who's got sticky fingers with everybody's mailboxes. And that is because you're talking about people who need to be in jail but aren't. When you're talking about people at a halfway house, back when they did call them halfway houses, you're talking about people who have gone through the system, are in a program under the supervision of people who are in the authority to not put up with no crap. Now, back in the day, when I was working my way through college, one of my many jobs was to work as a supervisor of odd jobs of a halfway house in Carbondale, Illinois. And part of my training, I had to pre-train for this job, was to make sure that it was clear to me that I was to sit on some of these meetings that they had, and the people who worked for me were able to give feedback to the people in charge, my bosses, and then we'd have a back and forth about what they learned, what they picked up, and where to go from there. It was a very strict program, very structured, and we're talking about kids. These kids were offenders, drug offenders, and if you think that women who are out of jail are a problem, you're talking about kids who want to go through the game, play the system, and just get out and go back to doing whatever they're doing. When you're talking about the women coming out of jail, you're talking about adults that wish to be forgiven, and it's a matter of principle, a Christian principle, that if someone repents, vowing to sin no more, who are you as a Christian to not forgive them? Anyway, it's very structured. You don't have to worry about anything. And one of the things I learned during my temporary job at the halfway house, that the safest place in town is the halfway house. Now, I would challenge Holdings to donate that property north of my way station to the Forgotten Ministries, because the one thing that we need in our neighborhood, and I'm pretty sure the slumlords et al. Are going to complain about it out the wazoo as to not in my backyard on you, is to have the halfway house there. I wouldn't mind being a volunteer to do the same job that I did when I was working through college, because I'm familiar with how strict it is. I'm also familiar with how weaselly kids can be, and I trust the women to not be such weasels as kids are.
Thank you. Item 20, we are adjourned.
Thank you for joining us for the Enid City Commission meeting. All meetings are broadcast on local cable channel 12 and in high definition on channel 112. In addition, the council meeting is live streamed on the web at enidtv.org. If you have any questions or comments regarding this broadcast, please visit the City of Enid website at enid.org.